won a lot of games, but there's been some talk this week about how this team is just learning to win. So what kind of lessons does trailing at halftime and trailing with 37 seconds left in the last 2 weeks provide in that regard?
I think just believing in the process. Every day we come to work, you're in a way building up those calluses for the season, whether it's physically or mentally. So, I try to tell them to lean on the work all the time and eat crumbs, be allergic to the big meal, meaning stay humble, stay focused. And every day is different. Every week is different. Nobody cares about what you did yesterday or the week before. So I think, we've been doing a really good job as a team of just staying in the moment. When we face adversity, you acknowledge it and then flush it. That's all you could do. So I think we've been doing a good job of that.
Marcedes, I don't know exactly how many times you lined up tight in the game on Yash's side, but Steno was telling us yesterday that Dave was doing a great job between series, sitting with them and talking through things with him. Did you do any of that? And even if you didn't, what did you think of the way he showed, up in that game?
I mean, I thought he went out there and played his butt off. I could tell before the game he was a little nervous. At the time we made eye contact, I was giving Bobby, a little pep talk before the game, but I caught eyes with him, and I saw that he wanted to come over but didn't want to interrupt me and Bobby. And so after that, I went over to him and just told him that, I'm with you all night, bro. You're not out here doing it by yourself. And, this is your opportunity to get better. Just look at it like that. And just lean on what you've been doing at practice. You don't have to go out there and be Superman. That's why you have everybody on this team with you. And he went out there and played his butt off.
Marcedes, when you see, obviously, your role and then you've seen what Bobby's been able to do, how much pride does it give you to see then Allen step up in a way that has Rodgers giving him praise and Lafleur talking about how they're so lucky to have a guy like that on the team?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, really off the field, Bobby and Allen probably kick it the most. So they share that same mentality. But I think what's really awesome about this team is that nobody is above anybody. And, whether it's Devontae, A-Rod, me, Billy, Bach, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, everybody is on the same playing field and everybody is respected as such. So, when it's like that, it gives you an opportunity to go out there and just play your game knowing that everybody has your back, And Allen is one of those guys that, had to get it out the mud, came through the back door, been working his butt off. And, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, he does it in practice. His mindset is old school. I like that. You know what I mean? So everything that he's doing, I watch it in practice and I watch how hard he works every rep. So I'm just glad that, it's paying off and things are starting to come to fruition for him.
How do you guys keep that mindset, though? I mean, it's probably hard not to have an ego, but how do you guys stay so even-keeled?
Well, I think that understanding that this game is the ultimate team game and that, we're not going to get to where we want to go individually. And it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to put it into action. And with the leadership on this team and how we move and maneuver through the tight spots and lead from the front, guys get it. We understand it. It's one of those things. It's easier to just do it than for me to just tell you every little thing. But the work is definitely put in, and every day is about earning it daily, just earning it, and we understand the work that it's going to take to get there.
You've been with Matt since the beginning. We talk with young players all the time about their development, their first couple of years. Matt is a young head coach. It's only his third season. I'm curious, what have you seen from him as far as how he's different now, how he's the same now than he was 2 years ago, and just kind of his development as a guy that's obviously seen a lot of football at this level?
Yeah, I think, Matt is one of those guys, super smart, You get that as soon as he opens his mouth, knows his ball. I think where he's gotten better is being able to associate with different types of players and different levels of players, meaning like second-year guys to fifth-year guys and fifth-year guys to seven-year guys. Like, I think to be a great coach, for one, you got to be a great man, and then know how to be a good leader of men. And to do that, you got to be able to associate with your rookies to a guy that's like in his 16th year like me and not miss a beat. And I think that's where he's getting better. And I know he's very tough on himself about it, and he leans on the leaders as far as input, and he's doing a great job.
What do you think of him when he first got hired?
Same thing I think of him now. I mean, an intelligent guy that gets it. I talked to McVay when he got hired, when we hired him, and he's nothing short of what we got a few years ago. And he's a guy that wants to be the best at his job, looks to come in and get better every day, and develop those relationships with the players every day. And I think as long as you're cognizant of it every day when you walk into the building and what energy you want to bring into the building and lead the team, we're all going to be attracted to it and follow. And he's been doing a really good job.
And you realize you're not just an extra tackle. That was me, not you.
Nah, it's all good.
Hey, you and Aaron are obviously really, really close, and I don't want you to betray any secrets from your conversations this offseason, but more give me an idea of what the tenor of them was. Because I think he's not as sensitive as he maybe once was, and he's more centered, but it did seem to really tick him off that there were people that would actually question whether he was all in or invested in this team. Did you guys talk about that kind of stuff in the off season when you guys were talking, and then what have you seen from him since he's been back?
We didn't talk about the investment part specifically in the offseason. It was more so really just being able to clear mental space. And I think the reason why, people may have thought he was more sensitive back then compared to now is that, when you're in this game, like, there's enough tension, anxiety, expectations, scrutiny that goes into it in general, if you're the player, let alone the quarterback, right? So, for once, he got a chance to really just take some time for himself and put a lot of things in perspective. And, just talking to him, not just football, but just life in general, in the grand scheme of things, we're so insignificant. You know what I mean? And like there are things sometimes, like, I get upset if I'm sitting at a red light for too long. You know what I mean? Like, nobody cares about that, bro. And once you really sit back and be like, it could be worse. We're blessed to do this. And being able to be in control of your moment. And I think 12 is just in control of his moment. He has he's seeing it from a different lens. And, we feed off of that. Definitely the best I've ever been around. Not just as a person, but just as a player. Like, I've never been around nobody like that. And, watching him work and how hard he is on himself, like, it's just different. It's great to play with a guy that sees it the same way I do.
That would explain why you talk so much about gratitude lately. So you obviously expected him to be fully invested when he came back, but was there a moment that you can point to that you could say, okay, yep, he's him, regardless of all the other stuff that went on this offseason, he's the guy that I know?
I think the moment when we first had to come in for training camp to report, I didn't know what was going to happen. Him and I had conversations, but leading up to camp, like the last 2 weeks, like, we didn't really talk. I wasn't sure, but when I saw him that first day and he kind of like gave me that look, I was like, oh, this is my guy. We trying to go get this championship. You know what I mean? Like, that's it, man. Like, when you're close to somebody, like on and off the field, like you don't got to say much. And a lot of the communication is like indirect, and you get it. You're nonverbal, you know? And I knew what it was at that point.
You were talking earlier about kind of the way guys know their roles and that. Aaron has mentioned that over the last couple of seasons with this group or most of this group. Have you been around teams where it hasn't been that way and there weren't guys that were willing to do that?
Yeah, I mean, my whole 12 years in Jacksonville. Like, athletes all over the field, but guys fighting in the locker room, fighting on the sidelines, like, you know, you had your star guys, and then you had like the guys that were supposed to be like role players that wanted to be starting but didn't understand. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it was not it. And like I said before, like I'm, you know, blessed to have been in Jacksonville for all that time, and you know I got to see what it looks like to be in those type of situations and still be able to thrive individually, right? And then now I'm in a spot where, you know, I know what better looks like. You know what I mean? What getting better looks like. And, you know, that's not just on the field. That's in the meeting room. That's just the energy in the building. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. You know, whether you win or lose, you don't control that. But your process to preparing and going out there on Sunday or Thursday or Monday, that's what you can control, is the process. You don't control wins and losses. And, you know, that energy that we put into the process in this building is well worth coming to work.
Marcedes, you know, Bobby's talked so much about your influence on him, but last week, before he went on IR, Dominique was in here, and we were talking, and here's a guy that was a bouncer at a bar, and he stays on the roster and a third-round pick the team moves on from, which I think says something about how far he's come. But he talks so much about your influence. What has it been like? You've talked so much about seeing Bobby blossom. What's it been like to watch Dominique go from where he was and the influence you've had?
I mean, it's for me. Like I don't make it a point to like go to guys and be like, hey, I'm the old guy and this is how we do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. I'm really chill, bro. Like I don't even. I don't make it a point to do that. But the guys that want to get better and the guys that want the game find a way around me. And once I see it and recognize it, and then I see the work ethic, and then I see how he is in meetings. Is he taking notes when we're on the field? Is he able to carry the meetings to the field and things that like I was taught growing up and groomed throughout my career? Do I see some of those similar traits? And if I do, then I'm going to give you as much game as I got. And he's one of those guys just like Bobby. Natural ability, explosive, fast, strong. You know what I mean? He just gets it, smart kid. But it's been really good to see him kind of fit into his role and understand, you know, what this team is going to need from him to continue to push us forward. And so, you know, definitely proud of him. And, you know, obviously he has a little tweak or whatever, and he's biting at the bit to get back. But definitely proud of him. He's come a long way since the first time I seen him on that field.
As a leader, that's what you like. But like you've talked about that before too. And you know, I've told you that I like your quotes that I use on our girls and everything else. But I could come to you and say, "Oh, Marcedes, teach me this and this and this." But then if you don't see me actually working at it, you know that I'm a fraud, right?
Yeah.
So is it important? That's why you want to see it, the desire from the guys beforehand before you invest?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more, that means more to a vet than me actually giving you the game. It's seeing you work on it. And really just how do you carry yourself? What energy do you put up? Are you a guy that, you know, wants to learn? Or are you a guy that thinks you know it all? You know, and you know, if I can get drafted in the first round and be humble through it all and, you know, learn from Fred Taylor and Kyle Brady and guys like that, then anybody can do it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still here now is because every day is a chance to get better. Every day is a chance to learn from guys younger than me, and they push me. And so I think that's the cycle, is being able to get back to the younger guys and then the older guys taking a little bit from the younger guys. And it's easy that way.
Was the game plan last week against the 49ers any kind of a sign that your offense has kind of evolved a little bit, that you're able to do some things that maybe you might not have done in the past, helping out a lot on the tackles? Some of those wedge blocks in the middle don't seem to be like what you typically do a lot. Do you think that's just a single game plan, or do you think this offense is kind of evolving a little bit?
I just think it's one of the tools in our offense. I think that there's a lot of versatility with our tight ends, our backs. You got Matt's playbook, and then you have A-Rod's playbook. You know what I mean? Like, we can pretty much figure it out, And I think that, what we did last week was something that, we'll carry throughout and bring it out when we need to bring it back out. But depending on who you're playing every week, everything changes, And I think that's the dope part about playing this game, is that every week is its own individual week. And, 1 week you're going against Bosa and Armstead and slanted cock nines, and you're trying to figure out, how you're going to take them out the game. And then, you got this week, you got Watt and, all the different things that they present, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the worst that could happen, right? And then how are we going to stop that? You know what I mean? So I think it's just all part of it, and it's all part of evolving as an offense. And whenever you got 12 back there, anything's possible. The only thing limits you is your imagination. So
Was that more Rodgers' game plan or Lafleur's game plan last week?
both.
Both?
Mixture of both.
Anything else in the room? I think we got one from Zoom. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, just one, Stacy Dales.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Hey, Marcedes, I'm curious, you just mentioned Watt. The pressure rate obviously goes up substantially when he's on the field. He'll be back this week. Over your 16 years, does he remind you of anybody that, in terms of they use him all over the field, the way he rushes the passer, his ability to poke the ball out? Does he remind you of anybody, and what are the challenges with him?
Does he remind me of anybody? I think he's super unique. And, I've went against a lot of guys, like old school guys. I'll probably have to say a mixture of like Javon Curse and Jason Taylor. Good wiggle to him, super athletic, really good with his hands. Yeah, I kind of put him in that category though.
So what are a couple keys for you guys against him in terms of how they move him around?
Lean on the technique. It's about us.